Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why certain people just get under your skin? Maybe it's that one kid who always tries too hard, or someone who sings all the time, even when no one asked. Or maybe it's a friend who needs to be the center of attention every time. Most of us just roll our eyes and move on. But what if there's something deeper going on? Carl Jung, a Swiss thinker and one of the earliest minds to truly explore the human psyche, believed that the traits we find annoying in others might actually be hiding inside of us. He called this hidden part of ourselves the shadow, the side we pretend isn't there. But facing it might help us answer questions we've had about ourselves for years. In this episode, we'll explore Jung's powerful ideas about the unconscious mind. We'll talk about how to face your own shadow, because if you don't, you may slowly become the very thing you can't stand in others. Now think about what it takes to spend your whole life exploring the human soul. Do you become more human, or lose part of your humanity along the way? This is the question many great minds have faced, and Carl Jung was no exception. He wasn't just a man with theories, he lived his ideas. He charted the inner world like a pioneer, building the foundation for things we still use today, from personality types to the concept of the inner child. But he didn't get there through peace and quiet. To understand how he reached these insights, we need to go back to his early life. Jung was born in 1875 in a small town in Switzerland. His father was a pastor, and though Jung respected him, he couldn't follow in his religious footsteps. The strict beliefs just didn't sit right. That tension between belief and doubt would shape his path forever. As a kid, Jung spent a lot of time alone. He'd get lost in his thoughts, drifting into his imagination. He later called this his first real meeting with the unconscious, a place he'd spend the rest of his life exploring. He originally set out to study medicine. Psychology wasn't even on his radar, but his curiosity about mental illness pulled him into psychiatry. And then something happened that would change everything. In his mid-30s, Jung had what he described as a deep, terrifying experience with his own unconscious. He saw visions, heard voices. For a while, he even wondered if he was slipping into madness, but he didn't run from it. He dove in. He listened to what his mind was showing him, and that became the root of his life's work. Around 1900, Jung began working at a psychiatric hospital in Zurich, where he treated patients with schizophrenia. This was also where he discovered the writings of Sigmund Freud. He was fascinated. He reached out to Freud, and the two began a deep personal correspondence. They challenged each other's ideas, grew from each other, and eventually Freud saw Jung as the one who could carry on his legacy. But as you'll soon see, Jung's path wasn't one of following, it was one of breaking away, and the deeper he went, the more he discovered truths that still shape how we understand ourselves today. Jung's ideas went far beyond Freud's theories. While Freud focused heavily on repressed sexual desires and the lasting impact of childhood experiences, Jung had a broader vision of the human mind. To him, the psyche wasn't just a container for past pain. It was a dynamic, self-regulating system, constantly working to find balance and grow. Jung believed the mind had three main layers: the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective. Unconscious. The ego is the conscious part of you, the sense of self that interacts with the world. It's the you that's aware right now, hearing this voice in your head as you watch. Then there's the personal unconscious, a place for forgotten memories, hidden emotions, and things you've pushed aside. It's deeply personal to each individual. But Jung introduced something truly revolutionary: the collective unconscious. This wasn't just your own inner world, but a deeper, universal layer shared by all humans. It's full of archetypes, symbols, and patterns that show up in myths, dreams, and stories across cultures, even those that have never interacted with each other. For example, dragons appear in mythologies around the world. These aren't random, they're archetypes that speak to something primal within all of us. Jung's most famous archetypes help define our behaviors. There's the persona, like the mask you wear in public, the version of yourself shaped by society's expectations. Then there's the shadow, the parts of us we hide, the traits we deny or refuse to see, the impulses we try to suppress. Jung also talked about the anima and animus, the feminine side of men and the masculine side of women. Integrating these aspects can lead to psychological harmony. Finally, the self, the ultimate goal in Jungian psychology, is the integration of the conscious and unconscious mind, creating wholeness and self-realization. But these are just the core archetypes. Jung also proposed others, like the puer aeternus, the eternal child. This archetype represents someone who resists growing up. Think of a person who peaked in their youth and struggles to let go of the past, staying stuck in a rebellious, never-ending teenage phase. While it can bring creativity and wonder, unchecked, it can also lead to a life of escapism and unrealized potential. Another fascinating archetype is the senex, the wise old man. This figure symbolizes wisdom and guidance, often appearing in dreams or stories as a mentor. You might recognize this archetype in characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi, who helps guide others during challenging times. Jung's break from Freud wasn't just intellectual, it was deep and personal. Freud believed that repressed sexual desire was the driving force behind human behavior, but Jung disagreed. To him, human beings were also shaped by myths, spirituality, and a search for meaning, ideas that extended far beyond sexuality. This split wasn't just a personal falling out. It marked a major divide in psychology itself. Freud's legacy turned into psychoanalysis, while Jung carved out a new path, analytical psychology. Jung's approach was broad, focusing on personal growth, understanding symbols, and the journey towards self-discovery. Jung's ideas didn't come without resistance, though. Many in the psychology world were hesitant to accept his views, but his theories offered a unique roadmap for those willing to explore their own inner worlds. Whether it's through shadow work or individuation, Jung's ideas continue to guide anyone seeking a deeper understanding of themselves. Now, let's take a look at the shadow, a concept that brings us face to face with the hidden parts of ourselves. Imagine you're at a party, and someone loud and attention-seeking tries to start a dance circle. You've always hated that kind of behavior. You think to yourself, I could never be like that. But what if that reaction reveals something deeper within you? Jung's shadow concept suggests that these reactions aren't just about other people. They're about the parts of ourselves we've hidden away. The shadow is where we bury our repressed emotions and desires, everything we reject about ourselves. It's like a psychological junk drawer, filled with all the traits we'd rather not admit we have. But the shadow doesn't stay hidden forever. It has a way of sneaking into our lives, often through projection. You might find yourself irritated by someone at the party. But what if you're really seeing a part of yourself you've tried to suppress? For example, a mother might scold her daughter for being too outgoing, not realizing that she's actually projecting her own repressed feelings. When the mother was young, she may have been bold and outspoken too, only to be rejected for it. Now as an adult, she's buried those parts of herself, and when she sees them in her daughter, she can't help but react. Jung believed that the shadow plays out not just in individuals, but across generations and relationships. Our judgments often reflect our own inner struggles, not the objective reality of the situation. Recognizing the shadow is the first step in healing and understanding the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Jung's work offers a powerful reminder. To truly grow, we must be willing to face the hidden parts of ourselves. In our relationships, it's easy for frustration to take over. But what if, instead of frustration, we allowed empathy to guide us? The mother's scolding, harsh as it may seem, is more than a reaction. It's an invitation to look deeper at ourselves. By recognizing the hidden parts of who we are, we soften, moving closer to accepting all of ourselves. But what happens once we see that shadow within? Confronting it could unlock a new level of growth, a deeper self-awareness. This process is what we call shadow work. It's not some mystical journey to fight your inner demons. It's about facing the parts of you that have lived in the dark, and in doing so, taking back the energy you've spent trying to ignore them. Shadow work could look like journaling about moments when you had strong reactions, asking yourself, what part of me is this bringing up? Or if you're working with a therapist trained in this field, They can guide you through uncovering hidden parts of your past that shape how you act today. It's an exploration of yourself, using tools like journaling, dream analysis, and mindfulness to meet the parts of you that have been overlooked. At its core, shadow work isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming whole. It's about embracing both the light and dark parts of who we are. When you walk into a room full of people, do you sometimes feel like a ghost? You're there, but you're not truly seen. This feeling isn't just loneliness. It's something deeper. Carl Jung called it a fragmented self longing for integration. The solution? Individuation. Individuation is a Joe,